Okay, welcome to the Living Business Plan. My name is Gabe Ripley, and as this is starting to go out through, actually, this is beaming out strictly to the Reinventing the Tattoo app and community, as well as the Reinventing the Tattoo YouTube channel. And my name's Gabe Ripley, and I've been in business in the tattoo world for over 25 years, 20 years, 25 years, something. It feels like an eternity. But I've always had a tremendous respect for the people that are paving the way ahead. There's a lot of people that have been doing business in the tattoo world a hell of a lot longer, but I also do have a fair amount to add. I do not tattoo, so I do come at this from a business computer geek point of view. But I've learned from some of the world's best tattooers, and I always get myself and my ideas vetted by them. So this is the Living Business Plan. It's going to be a new class in the Reinventing the Tattoo setup there. We're going to call it the Reinventing the Tattoo Business. And let me pull it up for you. And let's see, give me 2 seconds. If you are watching, let me know in the chat room. I'm definitely doing this as much for recording's sake as for the live audience. But okay, here we go. This is the Reinventing the Tattoo Business Plan, and we're going to give it a little bit of an overview. If I can get to zoom. Okay, share screen. Here we go. Oh, give me a couple seconds to get everything set up right. Just need to get, let's see, Wirecast. Okay, let's back to the, okay. So, welcome to the Reinventing the Tattoo business subscription. This does contain decades of lessons and resources used to drive, multi-millions of dollars of business. And way more important than the dough, using these business tactics, you can drive hundreds of 5-star reviews every month for your shop. Here comes some dough. So these lessons are going to help you build up your business, and as well as important ones on how to protect it. And everyone in the business, I've gone through the ringer a couple times, and I have a pretty unique vantage point of what works and then what doesn't, because if you don't set up your business right in the beginning, you can generate millions of dollars and then it can come crumbling down, causing tremendous pain for lots of people, and that is absolutely what we don't want. So we have 2 sets of lessons: one to build them up, and the other to protect yourself and your employees and your whole crew. And those are the more important lessons. Okay, it seems like people are popping in here. This is for tattooers, for studio owners, for managers, and as I said, I don't tattoo, I don't own a studio, and I'm not a manager. So while I have decades of experience in these fields, I'm really looking out for everyone. I want tattooers and tattoo studio owners to get along, and there's always seems to be this kind of struggle where I see tattoo studio owners working, countless hours and sacrificing family time and all sorts of everything that they have to sacrifice for the business. And then inevitably, hopefully not inevitably, but it's very unique to find a tattoo shop where the artists are not feeling like the owners are taking advantage of them. And so when I come in and I'm observing, I'm seeing, shop owners working their asses off for tattooers who feel like they're getting taken advantage of. And so the goal really is to create systems of clear communication so that everyone everyone knows explicitly and crystal clear, like what the goal and what the mission of the studio is, or what each artist's mission is, and to be working with each other as opposed to working against each other or even just separately. Now that said, there's plenty of awesome cooperative shops where tattooers will just rent space and come and go. And that's cool, maybe if that's what the mission is. We'll talk about all of this later. So let's see, this is the table of contents. And hey, good morning, Melissa, how are you? So this is our table of contents. And in the Living Business Plan, each of these, can you see my mouse? Yeah, you can. Each of these sections here is a link that dives deep in, right? And you'll notice that these first, if somebody's ever seen a business plan before, if you do a search online for business plan, you'll notice that these first 7 sections are relatively standard. And when I first started making a business plan for a tattoo shop, I was like, I don't really need half of this stuff, right? Like, I know what our products are. They're tattoos, our market, tattoo fans, But the more I dug into the business plans and the different sections, the more I realized that you really should be thinking about all of these different aspects of your business. So, starting with the executive, I'm going to skip the executive summary. I mean, basically, the executive summary is going to be the sections 2 to 7 kind of all summarized. And I think that for today, probably end up starting, well, we'll take a little bit of a view of everything, but then we'll dive a little bit into the mission and values, because that is the core of everything. Like, if you're not very clear about what your mission is or about what your company's mission is, be it a studio or a supply company or even as an artist, if you don't know what your mission is, then you're working and you're doing stuff and you might be seeing success, but it's like, it's like wandering around a map without knowing where you want to go. And especially if you start to if you start to recruit and have a team of people, then it's even more vital that everyone really knows what the mission is and they know what your values are, they know what you're trying to accomplish and how you're trying to accomplish it. So let's click in here, business in detail. So we see here that we've got primarily, again, the mission and the values. Then the other sections include the business model evolution, identifying keys to success, valuing your company, your business, your studio. It's one of those weird things. Like we have it here you have it here in the business plan because often business plans are used to either raise funds from banks or to bring on investors. If somebody wants to invest 10, 15, 20, $100,000, you need to base that off of what the value of the business is. And, there's real world structures that can be used to value a business, but as you can imagine, and as you know, so much of the value is not arbitrary, but it's fluid, right? So a tattoo shop could be worth $3 million, but if all the artists walk, it's worth nothing. Now, on the other hand, if all the artists are on board for a sale, then all of a sudden you could sell your business for a couple $100,000, and it keeps the worth as the artists stick with it. And often for a tattoo shop, I've always used valuations for bank loans, but also when bringing people in, be it artists or external investors. Just really having a good key of the value of your business. Anyways, we also have legal issues here, and I might cover that today too, because the legal issues really are foundational, and I lost millions of dollars in business because I didn't have a good lawyer, or a lawyer. I didn't have any lawyer, really. I had used lawyers, but I did not have a lawyer. Ownership structure, understanding how the business or the shop ownership is structured is important. And then again, being crystal clear. Sometimes managers feel like owners and owners put all the responsibilities onto the managers, etc., and without knowing who owns what. And I have to say, multiple times I've encountered, both myself and with other people, when the ownership structure is kind of fuzzy and it's really easy in the beginning to be like, hey, we're a couple friends, we're doing some cool shit together and making some dough. I'll own half, you own half. Okay. 3 years later, life changes, people's priorities change, or can change. And so if the ownership structure isn't crystal clear, then all of a sudden that ambiguity becomes negative. There's a good quote in there, ambiguity is perceived negatively. And then facilities, just making sure that you're always constantly paying attention to the physical spaces. And often you could fix personal problems with physical solutions, right? So, you're just always making sure that the flow of the physical space is better. Making sure, my wife teaches infants, and a lot of what she does is using the environment as a teacher. The whole tattoo shop environment should be intentional and always paying attention to upgrade stuff. And we all know shop owners or artists who just let it go, and it's not really good. Anyways, point being is the business in detail. So this is all of the main points that we will cover. And I don't have a go back to start, do I? Oh, maybe I do. Oh shit. No. Don't know. Okay. Oh, subtitles. I did something wrong here. I'm sorry. Okay. Well, we'll keep going then. Simon Sinek, he is a very famous author, business leader, and he's pretty cool. He's like very like modern, not new age, but he's very modern, thinking from the heart and feelings kind of a guy. But he also works with military and all sorts of different leaders, business leaders and nonprofit leaders. Ultimately, if you check out Simon Sinek, Start With Why, it's an amazing book. It's also a great video on YouTube. And the short of it is all of the, well, not all of, many of the most successful businesses and an effective communication starts with why. So as opposed to, and we use this all the time, right? So instead of just hiring somebody and being like, hey, you can make a lot of money at our shop. Like, I mean, if that is somebody's why to make a lot of money, I mean, frankly, they're probably not. Well, it's hard to have well, then you know what their motivations are, right? So if they're going to get paid more, they're going to go somewhere else, right? For me, like the why is to create an experience that the client is going to remember forever, right? So like the money will follow that, but really the why, my mission, and I think I talk about it a little later, is to help amplify positive progressive artists, right? So just being really clear that that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. How am I doing it? I'm doing it through facilitating both technology, helping bridge the divide, or helping tattooers understand technologies as well as business in this case. And then the what, you can see kind of there at the bottom. The what would be the Reinventing the Tattoo package, the business courses that I sell. That's kind of the what. And so as opposed to like going out there and being like, hey, everyone, I'm selling a business seminar and I'm selling, Reinventing has got a lot of great courses. We really want to be like, Reinventing is going to help you take your tattooing continuously to the next level, and the transformation that happens when you go through the Reinventing course for years is just undeniable, and there's thousands of other artists, et cetera, et cetera. Let's see what's next here. Okay, so mission and values. Okay, so this is the Reinventing the see, okay. I am just kind of winging this a little bit, so please bear with me. But yeah, mission and values, and the goal is I edit all of this information. We'll use all of the sample documents and create a tattoo benefit. So for instance, this will be the example of the Reinventing the Tattoo benefit mission. And again, this is actually my old mission. I didn't edit it. To facilitate inspiring, life-changing, oh no, I did. To facilitate inspiring, life-changing benefit art events that help artists, clients, and the team leave the longest lasting positive impact possible in the community, right? So for the Reinventing the Tattoo benefit, the goal is to, again, right here, facilitate it. And so all of our actions and decisions should be based off of this mission. Are we going to be getting closer to our mission if this decision is made? If we hire this, it's like, again, hiring is a prime example of making sure people are in alignment with a mission. Because for years I would hire people that were talented and awesome tattooers and did a great job, and we got along. But all of a sudden, a year later, I was like, well, wait a minute. Like, your mission seems to be to like do an awesome tattoo, get paid a lot of money, and then go to the mall. Like, but that's that doesn't jive with my mission of like continuously working to produce a positive effect. Going to the mall on during daylight hours has nothing to do with that. Now that said, those artists found success other places where the mission was to let artists go as soon as they could or whatever. Again, there's no judgment calls on any of this. It's all a matter of finding the people that you're in alignment with. So this is busting out a little bit more of mission, values. These are our values, excuse me. And there's exercises. If you hop online and do a search for values exercises, then and one of my favorites is Jim Collins. Search for Jim Collins and values. There's a couple different exercises, and I have one here that we'll end up downloading on the online course. But the goal here is to really first you figure out what your mission is, and then everyone values different things differently. And so through a couple exercises, and you basically play like a values death match, right, where you're pitching different which values are more important to you. Is being on time more important than research or knowledge or something? Is fame and more important to you than punctuality, right? Some people would rather be famous than be on time all the time, and that's cool. That's okay for them. But the more we're all understanding of what our values are, again, then the more we could find people that are in alignment with them. And for me, when I'm recruiting, I'll use the mission and values specifically to attract the right people. So when I'm putting out my help wanted ads, the mission is right there. I allude to or outright talk about each of the core values that we're trying to attract. And yeah, so here we go. So these are the core values that, or an example of core values, probably coming from one of my old businesses and then edited slightly. And you'll see here we actually have them separated out. I used to just list off like 7 or 8 values. And then I went through another exercise where we kind of identify different types of the values. So we see here we have 9. We have our core values. Those are the ones that we really hold dear. There's the aspirational values, which are values that we're aspiring to. We want to get better at every time. And then there's like just straight up permission to play values. And like honesty, and again, so for us, teamwork is a permission to play value. Although these days I'm a company of one with I mean I work with Guy and all sorts of people, but my business team is really a one unit. But if when I had the tattoo shops for when I'm hiring for other businesses, teamwork is a permission to play value, and I actually heard this from a tattooer who actually hurt me pretty bad. They weren't interested. That's not what, they weren't into the teamwork, or at least they weren't into that team, right? And it's way better to know if someone's a lone wolf, before you hire them, and then as opposed to afterwards. And then like passion, right? So especially in tattooing, we really do need to be all consumed by it. You're permanently marking people's bodies for the rest of their life, and if you're doing that, you better be way into it. But yeah, so for us, our my core values, philanthropy. Ultimately, and we've heard this a lot. We want to give back to tattooing more than we take. Evolution for me is very important. To change a little bit every day. To pay attention to what's working, and then adapt as necessary. While looking at quantifiable evidence. Endurance, legacy-minded plan for the team. Obviously tattooing, it takes long periods of discomfort to get to the pretty thing, and it is absolutely the same thing in business, or it could be the same thing. It is the same thing in business. For us, I'll take these values, and then you'll see through the rest of this course, I actually put them into all of the materials. Actually, this is the next slide here is. Okay, so we have mission and values, where do they go? And I wonder if these links work. We'll see how well these links work here. I might have to reshare my screen. Yep, you're only seeing this. Hold on, give me 1 second here, and I'm going to share my screen. How is it working in the chat room? Let me know. It feels like there's still people there. There's more people than there were when we started. And if you have any questions, I'll be sampling through this for probably about another 20 to 30 minutes, and then I'd love to answer any questions that you have. So feel free to plug them in. And now what I'm doing is I am straight up sharing my second desktop here. Okay. So we'll see. What I did was, I'll just show you because this is how it works inside of this living business plan. It's kind of cool. It's this living business plan is a presentation, and then when you click on the links, it actually opens up the documents. So as opposed to just having like a big massive printed business plan, this is actually, that's why I call it the living business plan. If anybody has any questions about, well, in this case, mission and values or the handbook, they can go to the living business plan, find the appropriate links, and then they actually are led to the working documents. So this is an example of a handbook. And you'll see right here, I start off my handbook with the mission: Reinventing the Tattoo benefit seeks to create inspiring, life-changing benefit art events that artists, clients, and team members will value forever, right? So again, the goal really is to repeat naturally the mission in as many places as you can, so that, because as we know, and we know this with we're doing consultations with clients, no one understands it the first time. They barely even register it the second time. By the third or fourth or fifth time, they're starting to understand, really what you're saying, if you're consistent and repeating appropriately. So other things in my handbook, you can see here, the goal is to produce the longest lasting positive effect on the earth. No reason to not be grandiose. We're only here for a short period of time. And how can we achieve this? Constantly delivering an experience designed to affect positive change from the first time a client hears of the Reinventing the Tattoo benefit or your tattoo shop, through their experience and tattoo, and then through the story that's remembered and told throughout the client's life. Just being really clear about the scope of what our business is about. can really help everybody that's working on the team be in alignment and attract people that are in alignment. Often, we'll use this handbook kind of as part of our recruiting, so that by the time people aren't finding stuff out after we've hired them, we're hiring because they know this stuff. And I have to say, I clarified this. I had a tattoo shop for 4 to 5 years, maybe 3 to 5 years, before I clarified all this. I was using it. I had a mission, and I had clear values. But as I said earlier, I was just hiring great tattooers who did good work, and were in the area and wanted a job. And then, all of a sudden I had 4 or 5 artists, and that's when I started to really had to clarify what the mission was. Again, different people have different goals. If your goal is to, everyone has different definitions of success, right? So for many, it is, going out and partying and having a great time or whatever, live life as the crazy tattoo legends go, right? There's a lot of people whose goals are to, have a stable, awesome job, raise a family. Others travel the world, all sorts of different goals, right? And this is why we want to make sure that we try to get this as clear as possible as we can from the beginning. Hey, Jason, how goes it? And Lauren, this is fun. Okay, I didn't realize people were actually going to watch this. Okay, so other places where our mission and values go, interview questions, right? So this is what I'm saying. Like, when people come to me and they're like, "Hey, can you help me find some artists?" I'm like, "Well, I can, but like, what have you done before?" Like for me, and I have a whole course on recruiting, and actually, in some ways, I might be able to get away with just doing one business course that is called recruiting, because it really covers every single aspect of the business, like every part of your business. If you're a studio owner, you should be thinking about recruiting. And again, so our interview questions here, I list off, like we have this sheet, we print it off, so when we're going to interview somebody, we kind of have a guide here. We know what our values are. I have them all laid out here, and then we have questions that are specific. They're here to kind of tease out people's thoughts about it. And again, if you ask somebody, "Hey, are you honest?" Right? Like, of course, they're all going to say yes. You can't just ask that. "Hey, do you like to work hard?" So really, you kind of want to work the questions as open-ended questions, and then you'll hear their answers, right? And again, one of the easiest things to do is to lead people in an interviews, because you want to hire people, right? And somebody might be very nice, so it's really easy. Like I said, it's really easy to be like, to lead with the questions and almost answer them. "Do you like to work hard? Because we really like to work hard here. Do you like to go on lots of vacations? We love vacation." That's the most. You want to be very deliberate about your questions. And so you'll see here, we have a couple of questions, and then we things to look for that would ping our different values. Other spots that we put them in, so events. So when we're creating events for our tattoo shop, or I suppose in this case for reinventing, we want to make sure that the event is in alignment with our values, right? So if you're having strippers and at your parties, but you say that you're about family value. Well, not that strippers aren't about family value. You get the idea. Like, you want to make sure that your events are in alignment, right? So we believe in education and evolution, right? So our events are often about education and evolution. The DNA, the corporate documents. So some businesses are sole proprietorships, some are LLCs. That's one set of documents, and how you build something. Again, like the corporate documents kind of contain all of it, right? So it's the handbooks. It would be vacation plans, like all of that stuff. All the corporate documents really should be embedding and be very clear that the mission and values are embedded in there. And then the marketing plan, I can give let's see what this does. It's going to open it up. Look at that. Okay. So, and again, this is kind of neat because we are kind of jumping through a bunch of the different items here. This is a marketing action plan. And you'll see that we have objectives. The main one is, this one here is to build an online presence and brand awareness and customer base. Other objectives might be team building and recruiting. I don't know if objective 3, enjoy success by giving back, right? So these are our 3 main, objective 4, continuing education, etc. We'll see that inside of each of these objectives, we have different tactics that are going to help us achieve these objectives. And each of these tactics has a goal, right? Social media. I can't believe this is number 1, but whatever. The the goal is to get more online followers, right? News items daily with quality content. Goals to news updated daily with quality content. The street team, get posters out bi-weekly, bring in new clients, increase brand awareness, and then integrate the street team and volunteers in areas we don't usually hit, right? So one of the goals of the street team is to find new spaces that we aren't currently in, and then throw the posters out, right? And so I guess I don't need to go over the rest of this, but you'll see here we have specific tasks, we have whose responsibility it is, what the budget is, and then we can budget out how many hours we need through the course of the year. And obviously, like I said, we'll dive way deep into marketing action plans. I fucking love this shit. It is the most fun. Most people want to dive right into marketing so they can get more clients. But if you get more clients and you don't have everything else in order, I got to tell you, I was great. I brought in fucking hundreds and hundreds of clients and potential clients. But if I had a tattooer who wasn't in full alignment, then some of those clients would leave dissatisfied or thinking that we had arrogant tattooers or, they got, and every once in a blue moon, we'd have some real serious issues. So the point being is, I don't even know what the point is. Okay. The marketing plan is embedded with our mission and values. And then, like I said, basically, the mission and values really should go everywhere. This here, if you want to take a screenshot of this slide, these are 2 videos. Oh, well, I'm not going to see the videos now. But in the living business plan, maybe this one clicks out. Patrick Lahoney, core values. Again, this is a 2-minute video on how to separate out your values and whatnot. Let's see here, what else we got? Business model evolution. So this is the section where we talk about the evolution of the business, right? And every business is different. Like everyone has different starting points. Some businesses are started up by kids in their 20s in the garage. Some are set up by veterans, 50-year business entrepreneur vets. The point of the business model evolution is to kind of get it all written down, put it into the business plan, not only for the banks or potential investors, but we'll pull from this for handbooks, or you can even use some of this for for training of your new employees, for onboarding. Whenever you hire somebody, they inherently have no idea. I mean, they might have a little bit of an idea of what went on before, but they don't really know. They really can't know. So when you're onboarding people, having a little history section, or again, just explaining to people how did we all get here, then they have the frame of reference. So then when they see you, being really excited about some awesome things that are happening that they might not understand, like if they understand the history and understand the mission and the values, then all of a sudden it starts to click, or if they see you getting wicked mad or irritated about something, if they know the history, boom, there's a framework for them to actually work on. And you'll notice that most tattoo shops and many businesses do very poorly on the onboarding. Identifying keys to success. So, I guess I have a question for people that are in the chat room. Do you have a mission and values? And if you do, if you could write out your mission, like I said, like 1 sentence, maybe 2 sentences, let us know what they are in the chat room. It'd be interesting. Everybody that's in there is awesome so far. And then identifying different keys to success, right? So this is when we take a peek at the whole broad business, and we're looking at our goals, and we're thinking, okay, well, what is it that we need to do to, what are the keys? What keys don't we have to unlock the different places that we need to find success? So, for instance, if I'm, this might have come from a consulting client or some such, but for this client, management has identified the following keys to success: balancing the books and creating a scorecard, right? So the books, balancing the books is important, right? Having an accountant that is awesome, that every month balances the books like clockwork, makes sure that money is set aside in escrow or set aside in appropriate places. I can't express enough how much having a good, awesome accountant is. And I have to say, in my experience, I've hired multiple business consultants. I hired multiple accountants. I brought in an accountant full-time, actually, or not full-time, but on board as a team member. And when shit hit the fan for me and things were falling apart, there became, big issues with the accounting that the accountants never told me about, or if they even knew, None of the business consultants did. I mean, ultimately based around deposits. You really want to make sure any deposit that comes in gets set aside kind of in escrow or in a safe. And it is technically the client's money. So like when artists leave and you have to deal with all of that. Point being, for this key, balancing of books, and then creating a scorecard so that each week we could take a peek at the score. I hate to use a scorecard analogy. I'm not a sports guy, but whatever it is that the key quantifiables are, right? So for me, the number of 5-star reviews, right? So how many clients are so happy with their tattoo that they're going to give us 5-star reviews? That's like the biggest thing. Obviously the money income is part that goes on the scorecard. Appointments generated. Everybody might have different things they keep track of. The scorecard quantifiables are based off of your values. We want to make sure that we're creating a best-in-class experience for the team and for our clients. And this is applicable for artists and for shop owners. This is a key for the success for this business. Like, not everyone is out there to produce the best-in-class experience. Some people want to fucking blast heavy metal and fucking go to the mall after they're done or whatever. And some people want that spa-like experience where everything is intentional and awesome. That's where I tend to try to dwell. So, and to that point, we have a creation of a best practices script. Oops, shit. Sorry. I'm still learning how to navigate this a little bit more here. Best practices script for, let's see. No, these aren't actually clickable yet. But what I have is a script where basically like a frequently asked questions, right? So if the client, wants faith upside down on the wrist, instead of being like, well, that's a fucking real dumb idea because it's upside down. Our best practices would say, well, we have to inform you that, that is actually upside down. And we understand that you feel like the tattoo is for you, but inherently it's on your skin if other people could see it, especially in a visible space. The tattoo is as kind of as much for the viewer as it is for you, or you might think about it in that way, but we'll of course put faith upside down on you and give you the best experience we possibly can so that when you want the cover up, you come back. Point being is you get the idea. This is really important for onboarding support team members, right? So whoever's working the front desk, you might have somebody in there for 2 weeks, and I've experienced this, right? So, we hire somebody, they're pretty awesome. They are going to be a great front room person, but they're very inexperienced. They've only been there for 2.5 weeks. We have a guest artist, a well-renowned guest artist comes in, they start talking with a front room person, and they mention Philip Blue or Guy or somebody, and the front room person's like, well, I have no fucking idea, or whatever it might be. Like, oh wait, we want to make sure that we have, scripts kind of written out for people. I guess that might not have been a great example. The best example is for phone scripts, right? So all of those frequently asked questions on the phone, especially the annoying ones, having a really awesome, great thought out answer that's, not defensive or not offensive, is a key to a success here, right? And then implementing the marketing plan. So these are the keys to success that we have identified for, this particular tattoo shop or benefit or hypothetical shop. Everyone's keys to success might be different. Some people might need access to money to create whatever it is that they need to create. Other people might have shit tons of dough, but they need to identify a manager. They need to hire a manager to run the place or some such. So valuation, I'm going to go through this really quick unless anybody's really interested. Again, mostly it's about, valuation so much as it's about gut. It's about what people will pay. What's the point here, right? So mainly, the main point for valuations is if you're bringing in investors or if you are looking for bank loans. I'm not going to bother about that. I'm going to spend a little bit of time here on the legal issues because they're very important. I realized when I don't talk to my mother very much at all, like once every 10 years or so. And the last time I caught up with her, I explained some of my issues a couple of years ago and not having a lawyer. And she was like, I hate lawyers. Lawyers suck. All they do is they take your money and they don't do anything. I was like, oh, I see exactly where I got my aversion for lawyers. But the fact is, you need to have an awesome one. And they are hard to find and they're busy and they're expensive. But I got to say, my joke is, when's the worst time to hire a lawyer? Anybody? Yeah, but then as soon as I see an answer or two, I'll give you the real answer. When's the whatever the worst time? Just when's the worst time to hire a lawyer? Um, okay, so let's see here. We've got legal issues to consider. The state and federal labor laws, right? So you need to really understand with your accountant and or your employment lawyer what is legal in your state as far as independent contractors or staff. So for instance, in my personal story, I hired people on, and everyone wanted to be independent contractors. That's the way tattooers have always done it. That's the way we were going to do it. And when I talked to our accountant was like, "Well, I'm not quite sure you can get away with that in Massachusetts." And I was like, "Well, what do you mean? Every other tattoo shop's like that." And they were like, "No, in Massachusetts, it's not legal for a tattooer to be an independent contractor." And I was like, "Well, I guess we'll figure that out. Well, we'll deal with that when the time comes." I didn't want to have to, like, what am I going to do? Hire an employment lawyer and then hire all our tattooers who are independent contractors? Now that said, while I was like, I can't do this now, I did ask a couple of other tattoo shop owners in Massachusetts, and not many, but one or two came in, out in Medford, Mass, being one of them. He had already hired everybody on. He had made that transition. Now, I may have had the leverage. He is a tattooer owned shop, so it was really easy not easy, but it was easier for him to make that change happen. Maybe it isn't easier. Maybe I just decided not to do it. Point is, I didn't do it. So flash forward 6 years, I start getting sued by the state of Massachusetts because it's illegal to have independent contractor tattooers in Massachusetts. I got fucking wrecked by the state. They actually were going to force us to hire all of the guest artists as part-time employees. So it took another $10,000 in lawyers to go back and fight that so that we could have our guest artists be independent contractors, but all of our residents had to be hired on. Now, just the way that it was working, like I feel like a tattoo shop that has tattooers who are actual employees, actual team members could work better. It actually, it could be a real job, and often I've found that tattooers, oh shit, where was it? Tattooers will use, and I don't want to bash on tattooers because not every tattooer is the same, but time and time again, I've seen tattooers try to call out, "Well, I'm an independent contractor," when it suits them, but then when they want something, like the phone answered for them or the cash taken for them, they would way rather have the shop take care of it, right? And I have to say, like, so 10 years into my business, 8 to 10 years into the business, we had to like hire everybody on and change where the money goes and how it works. You really should get that fucking 100% tight from the very beginning. Yes, when you need one. Well, I was going to say 3 days after you need one because that's when I ended up looking for one. But yeah, absolutely. You need to find one now. And kind of the interview process should be like, I want to get vetted. You should want to get yourself vetted from all the different points where you can get, harmed before it actually happens. So you should hire somebody. You should hire somebody to audit you. Like, I mean, you should hire, get your lawyer to kind of poke at your employment contracts, etc. Let's see. Okay, I've got about 20 more minutes here, so I'll finish up this slide, and then if there's any questions, I'd be happy to go after them. So let's see. So we have state and federal labor laws. You got to make sure that everything's right. So if people are independent contractors, then you actually can't require them to be at a meeting. For instance, get that shit all wicked tight, and don't be as scared of being hired on. If you're a tattooer and your shop is asking you to get hired on, it actually isn't as scary as it seems. As the saying goes, the additional costs go to the customer. The benefits are also great. And Loose Screw Tattoo, Jesse's hiring people on full dental, full medical, paid vacation, 401k. When COVID happened and no one could work, they just got, they were able to just get, well, I don't know. They should have been eligible to get it. Obviously, there was a lot of craziness going on with the bureaucracy. But I do plenty of tattoo shops that have hired the people on that did get their unemployment without question. Okay, OSHA compliance. Oh, this is a good one. Hey, in the chat room, we still have people there. People aren't leaving. Thank you. I'd love to know, and I want to see, 5 or 10 answers in there. How many people know where their shop's exposure control plan is? So often I'll ask, hey, do you have an exposure control plan? Maybe, I think so. Yeah, is that when you get stuck with a needle? I think we have one. Legally, every tattooer, every employee of a tattoo shop needs to be informed where their exposure control plan is. Now, I wonder if I click on this, if it'll go there. Looks like it will. Oh, this is a whole folder here. And I'm going to close out of here because it might have old stuff in it. But the exposure control plan lists out basically all of the different, let's see, I don't want to use the wrong words, basically all of the stuff that could be hazardous inside of a tattoo shop. You need to list it all off. It has all of the sheets that go along with, your inks. Oh man, I've been a little bit out of this. I forgot the BPS sheets or something. I don't know. Like the sheets that say what's inside of the hazardous chemicals. It also includes the procedures if something bad happens, right? So if you get stuck with a needle, what do? You call it, flush it for 20 minutes with warm water or cold water, then you compress it with alcohol, and then you call the manager, whoever's in charge calls the doctor, right? And then in the exposure control plan, the number for the doctor to call is right there. And awesome, Jason's good to know. More and more people do. I remember, 5 years ago asking this question in a room of 30 people, and like 4 people were like, I think we've got one. But you need to have one. OSHA requires that you have one. And I have to say, when we had a needle poke or a needle stick with one of our tattooers from a client, while I was tattooing a client that they knew had AIDS, we had our exposure control plan there, right? So I wasn't in the building, but man, I was so happy that we had this in place, because the manager went straight to the book, opened it up, and we don't really know, no one knows in our head exactly what to do. Open it up, boom, call the doctor, do this, do that, et cetera, and then follow up after 6 months, get the blood tests done, all that kind of stuff. And if you don't know where your exposure control plan is, you should be asking your studio. And if your studio doesn't know where it is, studio manager, whoever there, then you should get one. You can contact me. I can point you in the right direction. I can't make them. But some sample ones exist online. It's best to work with a health professional. I think I was using health educators at the time. But ultimately, you need to have an exposure control plan to legally operate. I have sample exposure control incidents here, incident reports. I'm not going to open those up because we're just kind of scanning through this today. And then training, violence prevention training, sexual harassment prevention training. Get ahead of that, because it doesn't make a difference what you actually believe in, especially these days. It's really easy to weaponize, all sorts of things that have pure intentions. Now, the best position that you could be in is if somebody's accusing you of sexual harassment, or one of your employees of sexual harassment, as a business or as a tattooer, having gone through training, for one, you just should, so that you understand the vernacular, you understand the language, you understand the history at work, and why these changes are happening. But to cover your legal ass, you should have this training, because if you do get accused of it, and it's false, right? You'll have documented. When you end up in court, you're like, hey, everybody in our staff has gone through, sexual harassment training, or there's different larger, more umbrella courses and whatnot, but they exist. And if you have that, not only is your team going to understand and be best in class, but you also have documented, proof that you actually care about it. And then, when the shit goes down plans, I think this is a crisis management is probably the technical term, right? And the stories that really resonate with me when I was, I went through a bunch. When shit went down, and when I was researching a little bit about I ended up on crisis management. I was like, they actually have a word for this. And the examples were, Obama's crazy pastor connection and Hillary's emails, right? And it's like, just the way that the two different camps dealt with the scams or the scandals of the day. Obama shut that shit down, right? Like 2 or 3 weeks later, you didn't have any idea who the crazy pastor was. And the right wing, they're nuts on that stuff. They were there for blood. And again, we know this. Hillary's emails were dogging her for fucking, I don't even know how many years. The point is, like, if you don't have when shit goes down plans, again, same thing with a lawyer. Like, the last thing you want to do is be thinking about how you're going to reply to something um, after you've already been accused of it, and it's gone through the internet. Um, Insurance coverage, again, this is where you want to make sure that you have actually the best insurance, or really good insurance. If you just kind of go for the lowest level insurance, the cheapest insurance, then there's things that will happen that you could be compensated for that weren't. Um, and then, yeah, internet. Just if you end up in an internet fight, and I know multiple, since I got fucking slaughtered on the internet. Well, not slaughtered. I'm still here. But when I got fucking dropped down a couple pegs because of internet justice, I've seen other shops kind of go through it, not to the same degree because they have different circumstances, but you need to prepare for it. Another good friend. It's really sad how people can weaponize. Again, they can weaponize things that have real great intentions, and I believe things that I believe in. Um, Having your lawyer or your PR kind of strategy set up ahead of time um, is very important. And in fact, it's kind of crazy. One of the things I kind of want to do is create a video or write up, half a dozen um, replies to potential bullshit scams, right? Like, so, I can only presume, I know exactly what I'm going to get accused of again in the future, right? I mean, I've been accused of shit in the past. If I make, a set of videos that are like, this is exactly what I believe in, this is why I believe in it, this is how I do this in real life, then I don't have to like come up with that shit 3 days after it's like crazy on the internet and I haven't slept, right? Um, I haven't, well, it's all friends here, so by the time that anyone else reads this, I'll have all of my fucking bases covered. Anyways, figuring out what those plans are, again, this just goes right along with the philosophy of like, get yourself audited, get yourself hammered on before it happens in real life. And then keeping your corporate documents safe, tattoo world, and, it's so easy to do handshake deals. And this is actually, I'm just finally um, getting through that I'm still doing some handshake deals. It's really hard not to. I'm not doing it on a crazy level like I was. But for instance, when I had my multi-million-dollar tattoo shop with 3 locations, um, if you were to ask me where my incorporation papers were, I couldn't tell you. I didn't. They should be in a safe in your lawyer. You should have a copy. Everybody that's a partner should have a copy, and there should be a copy in your lawyer's safe. And that's not applicable to everybody. But if you have a corporation, you just really got to take it seriously. And again, for me, it's really easy when you start up a business to be like, oh yeah, sure, we're a corporation. We signed a bunch of stuff and paid some money, and now we're a corporation. You've got 30%, I've got 30%, they've got 30%. Cool. Again, 5 years later, $3 million at stake. Like, where are those documents? Like, wait a minute. We're still all friends, but like shit's getting wonky. And again, it's not when the friends are, for one, people change, but then if all of a sudden there's a snake, that gets in, that's when shit hits the fan too. I let some snakes in also. When you have something really awesome, all sorts of people want parts of it. Other legal issues, international letters of recommendation. So these are just some extra points that I have in this section here. But if you're a tattoo shop looking to bring in tattooers, or you're a tattooer who's looking to get a visa, we have sample letters of recommendation that I've used to probably dozens of artists at this point have used them to get their O1s. If you're in the products, you could check your patents in the products. And then I do have the top 10 legal issues, which I'll end up making into a free seminar at some point. But not now. Okay, we are at 12:50. So I'm happy. I will chatter on for another 10 minutes. This would be the perfect time for any Q&A. So if you have specific questions, then I could either beam to that, jump straight to that point in this document, or answer your questions verbally here. And I definitely thank everyone for tuning in. Yeah, the seminar is much needed. And again, Ali, I've taught building a great tattoo business seminar for actually it seems like 10 years now, and that seminar helped me generate 7 figures on shops. And again, it's not about the dough; it's really about we had 300 plus 5-star clients actually respond. Now we had great software, right? So that's how we found out. We had software that about 20 minutes or maybe a half hour. I don't even remember the time, but at a sometime right after their tattoo, they would receive a text message. Okay, so this is what I'll talk about for the last 10 minutes, and it's basically about feedback. And one of the greatest things that I did in my old tattoo shop was I did a lot of requests for feedback. And actually, those requests for feedback evolved, right? It started off by just asking people, which is worth doing. Hey, how was your experience? And as a shop owner, asking somebody, it's vitally important to understand, your client's experiences. And then after a couple of years of that, and again, we'd ask the normal questions like, how did you find out about us? How was your experience? Would you come back? Would you recommend us to a friend? Stuff like that. Then we started emailing people and asking, so we would officially email everybody after their tattoo to get their feedback, right? And it was like I said, it's amazing how quickly this shit works, right? So within the first week of emailing people, I was reading through the reviews, and then again, there's a difference between an external review that goes out to Google, which is we want all the praise to go out there, and then we want all the criticism to come to us privately. So we asked that, like, hey, on those emails, it was like, please brag about us online at all the key places. If you have constructive criticism, please, this is the place to let us know. And it's really easy for people to kind of email back. So point is, the first one I read was coffee. We wish you had some coffee. It would have been nice to have a little coffee there. I was like, what the fuck? How blind are you? You had to literally walk by the coffee machine to get your tattoo. And then that's everyone. I'm definitely very defensive to begin with, but everyone generally is. But then I stopped and I was like, okay, well, wait, let me think about this. This is actually, it's never their problem. It's always my problem. Why didn't they see the coffee? Well, they weren't told about it. They didn't know about it. They weren't looking for it, right? So then we started to work into our entrance script. When people would check in, the front room person would greet them, talk to them, get their IDs, whatever. But then they would make it a point, on our script was, oh, and by the way, we have, coffee here. So while you're waiting, if you would like to have any coffee or tea, I'm a tea guy. This is how much tea I drink. Then there it is, and all of a sudden, boom, everyone felt like they were a little bit more taken care of. And frankly, having a coffee machine there as a perk and not telling people about it, like obviously, not only were we not getting credit about it, people were complaining that we didn't have it. If you tell people that the coffee machine's there, whether they like coffee or not, they're thinking, oh, well, that's really nice. I don't remember the last tattoo shop I was at that had coffee, maybe Hope Gallery, but point being, the feedback. That feedback came in, I initially got defensive about it, thought about it, and then we fixed it. It was awesome. Another week later, fucking someone's like, I wish you had some snacks. I was getting a little lightheaded during my tattoo. I'm like, what the fuck? I know we have a lot of snacks. I eat fucking 10 pounds of fucking chocolate every week that I'm not supposed to eat. And, we have it right there. Wait, that means they didn't know about it. So what we started to do is implement twice a day or 3 times a day. The support team would go to each tattoo booth and ask, hey, do you need a snack? We have, chocolate, or I don't know, we must have had some sort of healthy alternative. But the point being is, it was through intentionally soliciting the feedback that we were able to receive, great ideas. And again, we knew they were great ideas. We already did them. But we understood after we were getting feedback that just having a great idea and even actually just implementing it isn't enough. You need to implement it. And again, this is evolution, and then quantify it and then improve. So then we actually moved up to, as opposed to emails, but we were still getting like a pitiful amount of email back, right? Like, so we, send out 300 emails or 400 emails a month, and maybe we'd get 30 back or something, which was still pretty cool, 10%, but it wasn't, didn't feel like what we wanted. And then we eventually, when we moved to some software where we had, I think it was Booker.com. They recently got bought, and they're basically like a spa software program. They were not dedicated to. I tried to stay inside of tattoo. This was 5 years ago, 6 years ago. I tried to stay and use in the tattoo world, use one of the tattoo tech platforms, and there are a lot more of them out there now. But at the time, the spa software was way more advanced, and in fact, it was so fucking awesome that this Booker program. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the feedback. I can talk about all the other shit later. The feedback loop that this Booker software, they would text people. So half hour after their tattoo, they'd get a text. Boop, how was your experience? At that point, we started getting like 60 to 70% people were actually responding. So we literally had like 250 5-star reviews coming back, through the software, from satisfied clients every month. So yeah, so I guess mostly the evolution of that feedback loop really accelerated and helped, what we were doing. Okay, so True Gonzalez. Let's see, where could I take this business seminar? We would really like to take it. Okay, it's going to be. I'm adding it to the Reinventing the Tattoo catalog. It's an additional course. It actually, well, not only like I can give it a little bit of a tour here. It's I'm thinking 99 setup and then like 30 a month because we also want to do monthly um, group chats, right? So so yeah, we're gonna have monthly Zooms where either the shop owner or the artist, whoever joins the Zoom call, and then we get to discuss, the problem of the day. My tattooers are always late. What can I do about it? The designers, we don't have business cards still, or whatever the issues might be. Once a month, we could all get together and do it. And yeah, like the whole like this. I'll give a little bit more of a tour here. So we have our market analysis. And again, this is the type of thing where I was like, I know the market. We're tattoo people. But then as you really think about it, it's like, well, really we do kind of focus on the higher end of the tattoo clients. I mean, not exclusively. We have walk-ins, and we want to make sure we pay attention to walk-ins. But our market isn't actually like, and people complain all the time about kitchen magicians, people down the street doing $50 tattoos. I don't give a fuck how many people are doing $50 tattoos. That's not my game. Go for it. Like my market is not people looking for cheap tattoos. My market is people looking for good tattoos. And again, there's shops that have, the heavy metal shops. That's cool. You should have the heavy metal shop. But then your market is, the heavy metal fans, people that want to get music blasted at them and shit. Okay, yeah. So I guess the answer to that question is, it's going to be in the reinventing. If you go to courses.reinventingthetattoo.com, there's obviously the canon, but then there's but right now there's like a half a dozen other courses. This will be included into that. And anybody that's registered with the Reinventing the Tattoo Canon will send out a coupon so that it'll be like half price or something. I probably shouldn't be saying any details. I got to talk to a guy about it, but we do want to make sure that as much of the content is available to the community as possible. One of my other thoughts was to do these for free for the community, but then all of the replays get stored in the course. But the course, like I said, the course really has. I guess let me give you a little bit of a. See if I can do a courses.tattoo.com. More courses. Yeah, see, I have it mostly done. Reinventing the tattoo business. Let's see here. It's pretty neat. I love this new. I see what's going on here. Let's see my dashboard. It's actually not quite for sale yet. Here we go. And yeah, so we'll see here. We have all of the different chapters. We're going to start off. I'm pretty excited to do a discussion panel about like the ethics of tattooing. So we're going to bring on maybe 3 to 5 different awesome leading tattooers and tattoo shop owners to talk about how they do positive business. I'm really hoping Guy gets involved because he's a very I don't have any like role models and shit. I never had a dad or nothing. I don't care. But like he's definitely inspirational with how he conducts his business, and he's very deliberate about it. I've literally offered him a blank. I haven't offered him. I've relayed offers that are practically blank check offers, and after I had to chase him down, like, dude, like, can I give these guys an answer? I'll say yes or no. I mean, I'm not his manager, but they're asking me, like, and eventually he was just like, I'm living my best life right now. I don't need that, right? I'm like, oh my god, Point being is he does such an awesome, and it's not because he's fucking rich and loaded, like it's because he's got his mission, he has his values, and if it doesn't fall into it, it's not part of it for him. Okay, anyways, let's see. So we have essentials. We've got communication. Oh shit, I didn't even go over organizational charts or job descriptions. Oh, there's so much to go over. Job descriptions are so important, and especially for recruiting. Like I have people that they're like, hey, do you know any tattooers? I'm like, do you have a help wanted ad? They're like, a help wanted ad? No, not really. I could come up with one. Or they just copy paste the last one, which is crazy because you can't just copy paste your help wanted. You should be a different business, presumably 6 months to a year or two later. But really having a thorough job description for people is so important. So communication, that's part of communication. And we really do want to make sure that we do everything ahead of time to set up proper communication. But then we actually have to do it. We have to have meetings. We have to have recaps, checklists or standard operating procedures, rituals, right? So like all these things are so important. Using the environment as a teacher. So like before, during, follow up, and long after the experience. Making sure that your space encourages compounding positive self-reinforcing routines. Right. So this is still, somewhat in outline form, but it only take me like a day to get it together. I really do, and this is why I'm doing this, so I can knock off some of the dust. Right. Okay. So accounting formulas to live by in an accountant. Holy shit! Like, well, I did okay with the account, but I did not set up my business to stop abruptly. So when it stopped abruptly, the first round of hurt was just from the external attack. But then as the shit fell apart and was musical chairs with the money, like, very few businesses are designed to stop. And actually, the exit is something that I didn't think about the exit of my business because I was solely focused on a legacy business. I wanted my tattoo shop to outlast me, outlast everybody. And so the thought of it stopping or selling it, there was no exit plan. And it's worth it. Like, you should be thinking about what you want, like even as a tattooer, like, what do you want 5, 10, 15? What do you want 30 years from now? We are going to die pretty soon. The bad news is coming. So like, but hopefully but hopefully it won't be, hopefully it's a long way away. Right. Like, so like, hopefully, like, the point is, like, in 20 years, I guess, let me shorten this up. The point is your business is either going to carry on, which is very unlikely unless you're very deliberate about it, or it's going to stop. And if you're not kind of in control of it, or if you don't think about that, then nature has its way with you. And again, for me, like, I knew that I was supposed to have adjusted my situation, but I didn't. And then nature did it for me. And it was way worse than if I had thought about it and had some sort of control over it. So yeah, we have our lawyer section here. We have marketing and sales, and then recruiting. Oh, did I not even screen share that? I'm sorry. Well, there we go. Okay, so let's see. So true. From owning shops and being around Guy Aitchison and other great tattooers, do you have any wisdom or tips on starting up the business aspect of tattooing that stood out to you? It sucks because well, okay, so not necessarily from being around Guy and other shop owners. From my personal experience, it really is that, like, you could build something. I built up a multi-million-dollar tattoo shop, and I had, Jeff and Alex DePassi as partners. I have a shop in Italy. All of those lessons that you're asking about are in all of this course. So yeah, the answer to that is, like, everything I've learned, pretty much. Not everything I've learned. Everything that most of what I've learned is from people like Guy and all the other tattooers that have taught me the ways that they do things. Mixed in with my computer geeky sensibility and fingerprint. But really, like, the essential thing that I didn't listen to, like, having that, like, if somebody is going to sue one of your, sue you for something, like, do you have a trusted lawyer who's going to be able to fight back on that bullshit? Because if you don't, then you have exposure. So, and I suppose ultimately, like, whatever, if you're going to achieve ridiculous success, then every weakness that is possible is going to get stressed, and that's unique for everybody. But yeah, I guess, so let's see. So starting. So true. I guess let's uh, hone in on that question a little bit more. Are you starting up a tattoo shop? Are you asking for tips on starting up a business? Do you have a business that's already going? But ultimately, so I guess what I'll say on the bird's eye view of that, when I run panels with Guy and Jeff and Ivana and really established sick artists, and I ask them, like, what's your favorite part of tattooing? Um, they all said the clients, right? And so I guess if you think about it from that respect, like, really what we're doing is creating an experience that the clients are going to remember forever. And everyone knows this. Like, you could have an awesome tattoo, but if the tattooer was an asshole, you're always like, oh man, fucking, who is it? Which one is it? That guy's a fucking asshole. Might be an okay tattoo or great tattoo. It was a great tattoo at the time, an okay tattoo, like, but I don't remember that experience is tinged, right? So for me, that as I distill it all down from everybody, you have an opportunity with this client, with any client, even faith upside down on the wrist, right? Every single client, you have the opportunity to impress upon them an awesome, positive, life-changing experience, right? Not everyone does. Not everyone cares. There's so many tattooers that are like, they're just waiting for the next tattoo to come in so they can fucking make their $100 minimum and fucking move on. Wishing that it was a half sleeve. Um, that kind of misses the point. Like that again, every small little tattoo. If you're creating an awesome experience for that client, they come back with their friends. They become more sophisticated collectors. That's literally how you build that clientele of back pieces. It's not by uh, not appreciating every client that comes in. And I get it, man. Clients are. I mean, it takes a lot of patience. There's a lot of questions that people ask that you have to repeat yourself. Some of them you think might be dumb, but the thing is, if you're not explaining to somebody how they can't get a sleeve in 2 days because they saw it on TV, if you're just dismissive of them and chasing them out because they fucking watch stupid TV, then you've missed the opportunity to educate them about how to get that sleeve. I used to joke whenever anybody complains online about it, I'm like, send them to me. I'll take all of those problem consultations because, and again, like, and it comes up sometimes during the art draws, like the client problems. I mean, obviously the client problems are client problems, but in a business sense, the client problems are our problems. It's like we didn't set up the proper expectations or communicate appropriately enough. And now let me, now there are also clients that you're never going to reach, and there's people that are unreachable that and arguably are not even in your market, right? So like you're not, it's not always your fault. But even when it's not, I think there's still pieces of wisdom, or there's still things that you may or may not have done, or at least that you can consider, um, to have help that situation be a little bit better or whatnot. So okay, so let's see. So the narrowing in on the question. So it's not starting a business, but just about 4 years into tattooing, and I'm trying to figure out how to network and grow myself to hopefully open a shop one day and just level up business wise. Okay, so yeah, so I would so networking and growing is paying attention to your clientele. So I don't know when the last. I mean, it's tough now, but like client appreciation parties. For me, way more important than posting on Instagram every day or every other day would be emailing all of your satisfied clients about a social experience that they could have together, right? So when we could get together, we'd say, hey, meet us at the bar for the drink and draws, or free consultation day here, or even just free pizza and history talks about tattoos, but bringing your clients together to create that camaraderie amongst each other. When you have a group of, say, even if it's 5 or 10, or ultimately be 30 or 40, but even if it's five, awkward tattoo clients, and you and your apprentice who are awkward, not knowing what to do together. All of a sudden, it takes 10 minutes, and then all of a sudden they're talking to each other a little bit. You're now engaging with them, and all of a sudden you have a positive social engagements with people, reinforcing each other how awesome their tattoos are, your tattoos are. They're talking about tattoo ideas, etc. Right? So like once a year, your shop should be having a fucking blowout party with everybody getting together. As a solo tattooer, you need to come up with ways to do that yourself, right? Um, True, do you have a database of your satisfied clients? The other thing I would do as far as networking is concerned, like level one is giving everybody 10 business cards, right? Or at least offering every client 10 business cards. I'd be interested to know in the chat room how many people do that. Every tattoo, if you say, hey, if anybody compliments your tattoo, here's a small stack of business cards. Please give them one. That's the best way for us to get referrals and more business. 80% of your clients can be like, oh hell yeah, okay. And if you set that kind of expectation up, when they run out of those 10 business cards, they might even shoot you an email and be like, hey, or stop in the shop. Can I get more business cards? People keep asking, keep giving them out, right? And having that set up as habit, like again, doing it sometimes here or there is one thing, but like if every time, twice a day, you're giving out 10 business cards, boom, all of a sudden, like that real physical connections and network really starts to happen. And then, but again, also when you have a satisfied client, making sure you keep track of their information and you're not spamming them. Well, for one, don't spam them, but they want to hear from you. They are your happy clients, and ultimately, if people ever, do drop off your list, it's okay because they're not, going to buy stuff or come back anyways. Um, so those would probably be the two main things that you could probably, or two low hanging fruit without having any idea of the situation that you're in, or the geography that you're in, or the types of tattoos that you do, or how big your clientele is, or how many people you're tattooing, if you're even tattooing. Ultimately, giving out 10 business cards, a couple stickers to every client, making sure you keep track of their information and you reach out to them once a month to let them know what's going on, that you have new work, and then a couple times a year inviting people to a spot. And for instance, I think I was talking about this before. We can't do in-person gatherings now really safely, so you can email all of your satisfied clients and be like, hey, we're gonna have a client Zoom call. So we're all just gonna Zoom in and have fun. We know we can't hang out at the bars, so we're all gonna have a drink on the fucking Zoom. Um, I think that your clients, again, this is the thing. If you blast 100 clients, only 5 have to show up to have a good time. But then when they have a good time, again, it's self-reinforcing, and then they tell their friends who probably have tattoos or have heard about you before. Again, they hear about you again, right? So if you have a client who's happy, they're telling everybody about their tattoos, they're like, hey, and it's all about the multiple contacts. They've talked to their friends, they've even given them a card. But then 3 weeks later, they come out and they're like, man, that was awesome. I had a really cool, Zoom call with the tattooers, and we surfed through all this amazing artwork that exists online. I had no idea that existed, and now I've booked my next, half sleeve tattoo of, Alex Gray work or Android Jones work or something. And then that person who had heard about it and then had gotten the card, and then a week later was like, you had a Zoom call with it. What the fuck? Okay, maybe I'll check this place out. Okay, Ali, do you believe that you could be a tattoo artist and handle all of the other legal aspects at the same time, or will this push someone out of tattooing and more into managing? Well, I know some tattooers who handle it all and could do it all, and have their business and have their shop and have their setup, and I know infinitely more tattooers who are, they all want to own their own tattoo shop until they own a tattoo shop, and then half the time like, oh fuck, what was I thinking? Now all of a sudden I'm, expecting my friends to like stay or be on time or to not piss off client. Like, everybody's different, right? And like I said, I know lots of tattoo shop owners. I mean, I know more successful tattooer shop owners than non-tattooing shop owners, because mostly non-tattoo shop owners won't put up with all the bullshit, and it's a lot of work and a lot of energy and a lot of frustration, and frankly, owning a tattoo shop is not a tremendous amount of reward. And when I talk about millions of dollars, like, I wasn't making millions of dollars, I was spending millions of dollars. Like, it was fun. I'm not saying, like, it was great, a tremendous amount of energy, but like, I wasn't making any bucks. I take that back. But near the end, I was making a very good living, and even I grew up white trash. Like, every job I had in the tattoo world was fucking awesome, and I'm not, it was great. But like, when comparing, the level of responsibility for owning a multi-million-dollar fucking tattoo shop compared to how much money I was getting paid, like, the stress, it wasn't worth it. I'm infinitely more happier now. So I guess, again, it's really up to you. Now that said, as a tattooer who has a responsibility to do the best for your clients every single time and to dedicate into improving, if you could find somebody to trust with all that stuff, you probably should, so you could focus on doing what you really love. This is what I say. If you love doing that stuff, then do it. And if you don't love doing it, you probably should find somebody else that is capable of doing it, so that you can stay like in the lane of what you love. But as I also alluded to, it's very attractive to be like, hey, I just want to hire somebody to do the shit. That doesn't mean they're going to do it. Yeah, exactly. Melissa's like, there's upsides and downsides to wearing many hats. I mean, ultimately, if you're experienced enough and do it enough that you kind of know a little bit about it all, like, so again, this is where if you turn over your finances to your accountant and then you're not like meeting with them once a week or once a month and don't really know what's going on, bad news, bad recipe. If you've done it a little bit and started it and understand it, and then you can hand it off to somebody, you're in a better situation. But let's see. Okay, so Jessica says, okay, so no database, something I've been wanting. Oh, now the comments are coming in. I can't. Okay, something I've been wanting to do for a while. Any suggestions on how to start tracking? At the least, just get a Google Doc. And actually, I'm going to get this stuff up by next Wednesday. I have to, because I have sample documents on this. Now, the best way is, an online resource or database, email list, MailChimp, iContact. They're all kind of level 1 stuff. At the least, you can get a Google Doc. and put everybody's email address. So for instance, if you want to get again, like these are all little fractals, right? Like the simplest way, just get a Google Doc, keep track of everybody's email addresses. Wherever you go, whatever technology you go, you just select all their email addresses and you copy and paste it in. We had pretty elaborate Excel documents. We kept track of everybody's birthday so that we could send them out birthday gift certificates, which was pretty awesome. People would flash that shit all over social media. Oh my God, I got a $50 gift certificate off the map. That was amazing. I haven't gotten a gift certificate in the mail forever. I would probably suggest, if you're a solo artist, just doing a Google sheet is probably fine. Maybe moving it into an email software just makes it a little bit easier to send out those emails. Yeah, I guess ultimately I'll have a couple different sample documents and sample solutions in there. There's a wide variety. Like you can do it for free or you can do it for $200 a month. It's hey, Jeremy. Thank you for just joining. The replay of everything will be up on the Reinventing app. This is kind of the tail end of the Q&A. So please ask any questions that you have or anything that you want me to cover in the future, and I'd be happy to. Okay. Yeah. So Melissa was also. Oh, I missed a couple comments here. Ali says yes. Always give out more business cards. Yeah, Melissa. So Melissa says, Ali, as a tattooer in my own shop, it's overwhelming. There's never enough time in the day. It's hard work to be the one to wear all the hats. However, being able to understand all these positions makes it easier later to know what types of people you need to support your vision. Okay, perfect. You answered that question before I even did. Awesome. Okay, well, we're at 120. It feels like this was fun enough that there's no reason not to keep doing it. So be on the lookout on the schedule for more of these. And again, this was, forgive me, this was wicked informal. I really just needed to set a date and time so I could actually do this instead of webcasting everybody else. But the encouragement and the questions and everything clearly made me or is making me motivated to finish this off officially, so that we can so that everyone can dig in instead of doing this for now. And this is the thing I think everybody could kind of understand. Like we're at an hour and 20 minutes, and we really only kind of brushed through one section. That's why there's it's I guess the same thing with reinventing. Like business isn't something that we could just cover in a 2-hour seminar and go killer on. It's something that we need to spend a couple hours a week or every other week learning about and then putting into practice. This is why I was talking about doing the monthly meetings. We put it into practice and then we have to improve. We have to test our results, and the same things are going to behave differently with different people and different geographies, and it's fun. I like it, and and then it's good to remind ourselves that these are just tools that we can use. So two things: one, these are tools that can be used for good or bad. We want to make sure that we're always using them for good, and never ends. When you need one, just Ali. What's going on here? Oh, I fucking went way back there. Okay. I agree with Melissa. Thanks. I would love to see that happen. Awesome. Well, stay tuned in the Reinventing the Tattoo app. And thanks again for checking this out. And I guess I don't know what else to say. If you're on the app, then you can shoot me a direct message. I'm one of the major posters. So if you just click on my icon and then connect, I'm always happy to either answer questions, in real time or to bring them into the next podcast. And well, there we go. Thank you very much, and we'll talk soon. I'm gonna